Hey, in this video, we are going to look at an extremely important but often forgotten skill, the skill of referencing. But what is referencing and why is it important? Come on, let's find out. So let's start with the second question. Why is referencing important? And to find the answer to that, we just have to look at the band descriptors. In particular, the band descriptors for coherence and cohesion. Let's get on the board what you need to do to achieve a 6 for coherence and cohesion. So, the first of these criteria says, arranges information and ideas coherently, and there is a logical progression. This criteria is really talking about how you organize your paragraphs. This is why in a discuss both sides essay or in an outweighs advantages, disadvantages essays, we start with the paragraph that is not our idea. This means that our essay has a logical progression. So I am 100% confident all of us will get at least a 6 for this. What about the second criteria? Uses cohesive devices effectively, but cohesion within or between sentences may be faulty or mechanical. Cohesive devices, what are they? Well, cohesion means to glue, so cohesive devices are words which glue sentences together. Yes, they are our friends, the transition signals. And when it says they might be faulty or mechanical, this is when students use transition signals between every sentence or at the beginning of each sentence. I am 100% sure none of you are going to do this because I taught you not to in the transition signal video. So far, 2 of these criteria I am confident we can satisfy and therefore look at a 7 or higher. What about the next one? Uses paragraphing but not always logically. Come on, IELTS. Make it difficult for us. Not always logically. Our essays are perfectly logic. So again, yes, I am confident we are all going to get at least a 6 for this criteria, which only leaves one more. Come on, what is the last criteria? May not always use referencing clearly or appropriately. Oh, referencing. What's referencing? Well, that's why we need to look at referencing in this video, because so far we haven't spoken about it and it's our final barrier to achieving a 7 for coherence and cohesion. And I really think we can all get 7 for coherence and cohesion if we just understand referencing. So, what is this mythical referencing? Referencing is simply replacing words in a sentence with a pronoun or a determiner so we don't keep repeating the same words again and again. Now, that sounds complicated, but let's look at this relatively simple sentence. Family members find that they can talk about their problems more easily than usual employees, which makes them better at solving problems. So, this sentence starts with the noun phrase family members. And we talk about these family members again and again in the sentence. But we don't use the words family members. Instead, we use 2 pronouns and 1 determiner. This is referencing. We have replaced the noun phrase family members with other words so we don't keep repeating family members. Now, let's look at these pronouns in a bit more detail. They is what we call a subject pronoun. It's called a subject pronoun because it comes before the verb in the sentence. So really, in this sentence, they is the subject. That's why it's called the subject pronoun. The other subject pronouns you probably, I hope, already know: I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. As well as a subject pronoun in this sentence, I also have an object pronoun, them. Why is it an object pronoun? Because it comes after a verb, which makes them better at solving problems. You also, I hope, already know all of the object pronouns: me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. Then in this sentence, we have a third type of reference, their. This is a possessive determiner. The name is not important. What's important is that this word shows possession. Whose problems are they? Their problems. Other possessive determiners are my is my problem, your, his, her, its, ours, and their. I teach these words to students at elementary level, so I really don't think there should be any problem for you using these words. The biggest problem is just remembering to do so in the exam. The reason why we call using these words referencing is because each of these pronouns or determiners reference or go back to the noun at the beginning of the sentence. When I read this, I know that they, their, and them are all referring to family members. And it's really important when you use these pronouns that it's clear what they are referencing back to. This was the problem we had in the introduction to this video. If your dog does a poo, put it in the bin. Here we had the pronoun it. The problem is that before it, there are two singular nouns, the dog and the poo, and it isn't clear which one it refers to. To make this sentence clear, we would have to rewrite it. I don't think we can use it here. We would have to say, put the mess in the bin. We can only use referencing when the noun we are referencing back to is clear. This is extremely important. If you use a referencing word, if you use a pronoun, and I don't know what the pronoun or the determiner refers back to, I am totally confused. So, subject pronouns, object pronouns, and possessive determiners are three referencing tools. Let's look now at two more. This and these. And these pronouns often don't refer to one word, but to a whole idea or a sentence. Family members often talk to each other. Stop. This helps them to solve problems more quickly. Here, what does the this refer to? It's the whole sentence. Family members often talk to each other. This is what helps them solve problems. Actually, in this sentence, I would prefer not to use this because we are giving the result of the sentence. I would rather put a comma and use which. I would rather use a result relative clause because that's a complex sentence. However, you could separate these ideas and then you must have this. You cannot use it in this sentence. It cannot refer to a whole separate sentence. This is obviously singular. It's referring to one idea. If we have more than one idea, for example, in this sentence, family-run businesses often react quickly to the market or adapt their structure to accommodate change, and these qualities are fundamental to the success of a business. Here I've got these qualities because here we are referring not to one quality but two. Reacting quickly and adapting the structure. So if you want to refer to two or more things, use these. What I like about this sentence is that after these, we have another summarizing noun. These qualities. Qualities summarizes the ability to react quickly and to change structure. I think if you're going to use this or these, the best way to do it is by using a summarizing noun. So if we go back to our first sentence, rather than just saying this helps them to solve problems more quickly, it would be better to say this communication helps them to solve problems more quickly. One of my favorite summarizing nouns is trend. I use this a lot in my problem solution essays. If we have a look at these two sentences, many more companies are employing family members today. Stop. This trend is due to the relatively low cost of setting up a family business. Not just this, but this trend. Now, this and these are also pronouns. They are called demonstrative programs, which looks a bit like monster, but they are not monsters. They are our friends. They help us refer to whole sentences or ideas. Finally, I want to spend some time talking about it because it is a really useful referent, but its use is a bit complicated. We already know that we can use it as a subject or object pronoun. The table is too big for the room and it is ugly, so we need to sell it. So in this sentence, we've got the subject pronoun, it is. Here the it is before the verb, and the object pronoun, we need to sell it. Here it's after the verb. But it has a few more powers. It can refer to a whole idea if the idea is expressed with a gerund. Working with family has positives, but it also has negatives. Here, the it refers to the whole idea, working with family. But we use it here, not this, because working with family is a gerund phrase, a gerund clause. If there's no gerund, use this, not it. Okay, so we can use it as a subject and object pronoun. We can use it to replace gerund clauses. What is it referring to then in this sentence? It is difficult to work productively with people that you also live with. What is the it referring to here? Where is the noun in this sentence which the it is replacing? There isn't one. This is what we call an empty subject. What does that mean? Well, let me change this sentence a little bit. Let me show you the same sentence in a different way. Working productively with people you also live with is difficult. This is the same information. Actually, this is the original sentence. But what's the problem with this sentence? Well, it's got a huge subject. The subject of this sentence is working productively with people you also live with. That's our subject. And then after this long subject, we just have one verb and an adjective. This sentence feels very out of balance. I listen to the subject for a long time and then just get the compliment, difficult. English people don't like to do this. Instead, they prefer moving difficult or the adjective to the beginning of the sentence. But to do this, we need a subject. An adjective on its own cannot be the subject of a sentence. So to create a subject, we just add it. It's like a dummy in a shop. It doesn't reference anything, it just provides us with a subject. So then we say, it is difficult to infinitive, because difficult is an adjective. Watch the gerunds and infinitives video to understand more. So we say, it is difficult to work productively with people that you live with. We've moved the adjective from the end of the sentence to the beginning, and we've added it just so we can have a subject. This is our empty subject or dummy subject, or on a Master of Applied Linguistics course, an extraposed subject. The point is, this it refers to nothing. Now, obviously, you don't have to write sentences like this in the exam, but if you can write sentences like this, it will really maximize your coherence and cohesion score, because this is extremely advanced referencing. Okay, I've done a lot of talking. I think it's time for you to do some work. So I want you to read again our essay from the first advantages, disadvantages video. The classic advantages, disadvantages essay about running a family business. But this time I want you to pay attention to the referencing. I have highlighted in red all of the pronouns and determiners I use to reference. What I want you to do is look at these words and decide which word or words in the essay do these pronouns replace? Which words or ideas are they referring to? Pause the video, off you go. Right, could you find the reference for the pronouns? Let's start by looking at the introduction. Here we just had one pronoun, it, but what was the it referring to? I think it was a gerund phrase. I think that this it refers back to employing family members. And if you're not sure, the way to check is replacing it with this gerund phrase. Employing family members can also give rise to a number of problems. This sounds okay, so we know that this is what the it is replacing. Let's move on then to the first body paragraph, and here we had this. Now we know this is more powerful than it. It usually refers to a whole sentence or a whole idea. And here, the this referred to the whole of the previous clause. Employees are willing to sacrifice time and money to achieve this common goal. That's what is replaced by this. That's why referencing is so important, because it makes our sentences much shorter and clearer. Then we had a possessive determiner, its. Here it's not it is, there's no apostrophe, it's showing possession. Its initial stages, whose initial stages, the firm's initial stages. The its here refers back to the firm. Let's move on then to the second body paragraph, which contained 4 examples of referencing. First, we had their And them, what did they refer to? Well, they just referred back to the noun people. As a result, people are more likely to overwork or bring people's job home with people. We don't want to keep saying people, so instead we say their job and the object pronoun them. Okay, next we had it. It can be impossible for these not to spill over into personal relationships. What does the it refer to here? Nothing. This is one of our empty subjects. The clue is that after it, we have the verb to be and then an adjective. It can be almost impossible to. It was more difficult here because we had can be and almost between it and the adjective. But really, we simply have it, the verb to be, and an adjective, and then a to infinitive. So this it is empty. It just helps us grammatically create the sentence. However, the these in this sentence does reference something. It can be difficult for these not to spill into professional relationships. What are these here? What's it difficult to control? Professional conflicts. Plural, that's why we have these. And finally, in this paragraph, we had a this. I think this was probably the trickiest of the pronouns in this paragraph. What does the this refer to? This could be a high price to pay for many couples or relations. What is the high price? Small day-to-day conflicts could affect family dynamics. This whole idea is what could be a high price to pay. It's so difficult because this idea was separated by a relative clause. But that's what this refers to here, the whole idea. And finally, in our conclusions, we had they. They also have to deal with the downsides. Who is they here? Usually they is for people, but here it's for businesses, family-run businesses. Remember, they doesn't always have to be a group of people, it can be a group of objects. Here it's referring to family-run businesses, plural in general. Hey, referencing is a wonderful skill because it means we don't have to repeat the same nouns again and again and again. However, when we start sentences or start paragraphs, we still need to use a proper noun. And that means for our essays, we are going to have to use synonyms. In the essay we just looked at, it spoke about family businesses, so I needed to use some synonyms for family. How many synonyms, though, did I use? I think it's probably less than you expect because I used the word family from the prompt 4 times and I also used the word relatives 4 times. Apart from that, I only used 4 more synonyms once each. Siblings, parents or children, husband and wife, father and daughter, and couples. So I gave specific examples of family members, but as a synonym for family, I just used relatives. Students are often very, very afraid to repeat the same noun again. Why? I think it must be our teachers. I think English teachers around the world are frightening their students into thinking that repeating a noun in an essay will result in disaster. I am here to tell you it won't. In fact, it's often a good idea to alternate the word given to you in the IELTS prompt with just one good synonym. Why? Because in life there is often only one really good synonym. And when students try to create synonyms with long paraphrases, it not only drives me crazy, but it drags down their lexical resource score. If you find yourself writing long paraphrase synonyms for one singular noun, you are probably making a mistake. For example, for family, if you said people who come from the same mother, you are making a mistake. This is not natural language. It's not the way that English people speak. So, please, in the exam, if you have a word like family, just choose one good synonym and then alternate them throughout your essay. And of course, if you can actually give an example of family like parents, children, siblings, sons and daughters, that's good. But otherwise, these two words are enough. And if you are in an exam and you have a question with a noun and you cannot think of a synonym, it's much better to keep repeating the noun you are given in the prompt than create a crazy paraphrase. Please do not do this. In fact, the best way to avoid repetition in these circumstances is to use referencing. And that's another reason why referencing is so important. You're welcome. What have we learned in this video? We have learned that the only barrier between us and a 7 for coherence and cohesion is referencing. Everything else we have been practicing for many videos. What is referencing? It's simply replacing nouns with pronouns or possessive determiners so that we don't keep repeating information in our essay. Some of the referencing tools you have been using since elementary level: the object pronouns, the subject pronouns, and the possessive determiners. But we also have some more complicated, more difficult types of reference. We can use our demonstrative pronouns, this and these, and we usually use those together with a summarizing noun, not just this, but this trend or these solutions. A particularly useful pronoun, though, to use for referencing is it, because it can replace not just singular nouns, but also gerund phrases, and it can be used at the beginning of a sentence as a dummy subject, a subject that helps me bring a lonely adjective to the start of a sentence, so we don't have long subjects and a tiny complement. Okay, please go now and do the practice activities I have written for you. In them, you're going to put your own pronouns into an essay that I have written. And when you have finished doing that, our time with advantages and disadvantages essays is coming to a close. All that is left is for us to practice. But of course, you're going to have a lot of energy for the next video because you are going to write a complete essay with me. So when you feel like you have got power and energy, meet me in the next video where we will practice writing an advantages, disadvantages essay. Which one? Well, you will have to join me to find out. I'm Shelly, and this is my IELTS classroom. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you found the content useful, please click like to help the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for new lessons every Friday. Plus, you can find more expert content at www.myieltsclassroom.com.